Hey there, people! So today I am bringing you my Terraria Queen Slime guide for Master Mode, Expert Mode, and Normal as well. So this will be including how to spawn her, armor and gear recommendations, the fight itself, drops, and loot, and a lot more than that as well. So first of all, about the boss. Queen Slime is a giant slime. Essentially, she is the hard mode counterpart of King Slime. She is only immune to the poisoned and confused debuffs. She is an optional boss. You are not required to fight her, but she can drop some useful gear. So, how to spawn her. Queen Slime is summoned by using a Gelatin Crystal, which is found in the underground Hallow. They look kind of like crystal shards, but they're a little different. They're sort of a little bit of a different shape, and they glow. They cycle through some different colors. So you just kind of have to keep an eye out for them. It grows on pearlstone or pink ice blocks, and it cycles slowly between pink and blue in color. So they do regrow naturally. It's sort of like Plantera bulbs, but a little bit different. They regrow naturally, and they will even grow close together. So you kind of just have to look around in pink ice, hallowed ice, or pearl stone, the more common pearlstone stony areas that have been taken over by the Hallow. She can be summoned any time of day, but she must be summoned within the Hallow. Once she is summoned, the fight can continue anywhere. You do not have to stay inside of the Hallow. However, you do need to stay reasonably close to her, as she will despawn if you get too far away. So, more about the fight. Her first phase is actually very similar to King Slime in that she will jump around and spawn slime minions. The purple crystal slimes fire projectiles. They're very similar to the spiked slimes that are spawned by King Slime in pre-hard mode. There are a couple other types. There are pink bouncy slimes that fire bouncing pink little shots towards the player. There are winged heavenly slimes that will fly towards the player. Not quite kamikaze because they don't die, they just try to hit you. So they just try to fly straight at you and hit you. And note that if Queen Slime cannot reach you, she will teleport to you, much like King Slime does as well in this first phase. And after a few jumps, she will pause briefly, and then she will attack in one of two ways. Either she will jump quickly at the player, trying to stomp on them, so she'll suddenly jump in the air very quickly towards you and try to stomp on your head, or she will fire one or more rounds of 6 bouncing Regal Gel projectiles to the sides and above. You can see I kind of did the graphic as the two phases and how those shots project outwards. So they shoot out from the sides. They don't just sit there. But yeah, they'll shoot to the sides and above in the first phase. In the second phase, once she's been reduced to half of her health, she will sprout wings and start to fly. At this point, she'll try to fly above you, firing spreads of 10 Regal Gel projectiles in all directions. So you can see the kind of circle that they go out in there as well. So while flying, she will continue to drop or spawn all 3 types of slime minions, so keep an eye out. Those minions are dangerous, and she also tries to get above the player and drop or stomp down onto them if she is close enough. So basically, you're trying to avoid the contact damage, you're trying to avoid those Regal Gel projectiles, and you're trying to avoid the slime minions and some of their projectiles as well. So next thing is arena and strategy. The main difficulty in defeating Queen Slime actually kind of comes from her many minions, her many slime minions and their attacks, as well as, of course, her projectiles as well. It's better to fight her during the day because it makes it easier to see her minions and their projectiles. In 1.4.0 Master Mode, you could use the black spot from the Pirate Invasion. So for you mobile people, as of this moment, you're at 1.4.0. The black spot, if you are in Master Mode, is a great mount to kind of kite away from her, to avoid her, and to keep ahead of her, which helps you to avoid building an arena, and you can just kind of float above her and her minions. But with 1.4.1 on PC, and of course that will eventually come to the others as well, that has now been nerfed. The black spot is not so wonderful anymore. So otherwise, instead, in general, you will want to either build a large arena out of platforms, potentially with gaps, and even a lava pool below is an option for her minions to fall into the lava and kill them off. and build it up off of the ground to avoid her projectiles. And, you know, some of those projectiles bounce, so, you know, up well off the ground is a good option too. Alternatively, and actually this is what I would do, it's a lot easier to set up, and I think it's kind of easier to fight as well. You can treat it as a running battle and simply move across the world quickly to avoid her and her minions. So she spawns those slimes. If you're running ahead of her, they're going to end up left behind. But you do need to make sure that you don't get too far away so she doesn't despawn. And you also, in the first phase, you want to stay not too far ahead of her so that she doesn't teleport to you, because that can be a nasty surprise sometimes. So if you are building an arena, make sure that you include campfires, heart lanterns, a garden gnome, a bast statue, and for magic users, 1 or more stars in a bottle. Sunflowers can also help. Having a nurse with a bed spawn point and the nurse herself nearby can help for some quick healing action. Heart and or star statues wired to timers can also be useful. All that if you are going to build an arena. In the first phase, it's generally better to stay in the air as much as possible, whereas in the second phase, that's actually reversed. It becomes better to stay on the ground to avoid her, because she will try to be flying above you, and if you're in the air, she's just going to fly into you. So that's my recommendations for arenas and strategies. I think it's just easier, especially if your world is reasonably flat, just run along the ground and just keep going in one direction, because if you try to change directions, you're going to go through her and her minions. Just have a big enough space that you can keep going in one direction, and that's just a lot easier, in my opinion. So armor. Again, 1.4.0, the Palladium Armor's rapid healing buff is actually pretty strong, so that can potentially be useful. As long as you keep hitting her or her minions, you'll have that buff, and that heals you reasonably quickly. It is pretty weak armor, though, and it has been nerfed as well in 1.4.1. So Palladium Armor only good in 1.4.0. 1.4.1 is just going to be too weak. Generally, otherwise, you're going to want the best armor you can get for your class. So summoners are going to want the spider armor. For other classes, you're going to want adamantite or titanium. Those are probably the best you're going to be able to get, reasonably and easily. You can potentially, if you're good enough, if you can dodge well, you might be able to get away with mithril or orichalcum. Those could do the job, especially if you're not in the harder difficulties. If you like to play with mixed weapons, you can also use the frost armor for mixed melee and ranged attacks, or you can use the forbidden armor for mixing magic and summoner boosts. If you have already defeated a mechanical boss, you can also use the hallowed armor. That makes that a great option if it's available. In terms of accessories, the Royal Gel from King Slime will not prevent Queen Slime's minions from attacking. It makes a lot of slimes in the game docile, they won't hurt you, but not hers. They're still going to hurt you. Wings, boots, and or a good mount will be helpful for dodging her and her minions. So lava waders or Terra Spark boots can be helpful if you're using that lava strategy. Frost Spark, Lightning, Frost Spark, or Terra Spark boots are the fastest if you're just running across the ground itself. But the amphibian boots are actually a great option. The amphibian boots and or those other boots along with a frog leg will help you to jump and fly more quickly. So the vertical dodging is better with the amphibian boots, even though they're a little slower along the ground. So it's a bit of a compromise. Or you can use the faster boots with the frog leg to get both. But of course, then you're using a lot of accessory slots. The fairy wings will be the best easy to get wing option at this point, although the fin wings, frozen wings, and harpy wings are all equivalent to those fairy wings, so any of those options are great. Any wings other than the fledgling wings can work. If you are in expert or master mode, the Shield of Cthulhu with its dash is also very helpful for dodging. The emblem of your class, whatever difficulty you're in, the emblem for your class is going to be very useful to boost your damage output significantly, which will help to end the fight quicker. So you may need to farm the Wall of Flesh to get your emblem. Highly recommended. The cross necklace or the star veil will help you to survive by basically avoiding hits and extending your invincibility when you do get hit, along with the Charm of Myths, which will cut the amount of time that you need between potions and also boost your regeneration, so that'll help your life. The frozen turtle shell is also a good one if you happen to get it. It's a bit rare, but it will reduce your damage as well. Again, if you're in expert or master mode, the worm scarf and or the brain of confusion will help for survival as well. Normally you only get one, unless you're cheating, I won't tell. And also, a cobalt or obsidian shield is particularly useful, again, any difficulty, for melee players. It's also somewhat useful for others. Cobalt or obsidian shield will avoid knockback and give you a little extra defense. Melee players will want the power glove or the berserker's glove to boost your output and give you auto swing and so on. If you're a yo-yo user, you will want the yo-yo bag to boost your yo-yos quite significantly. That'll give you tons more damage if you are using yo-yos. Ranged bow users should use either the magic quiver or the stalker's quiver. Those will make your arrows go faster, boost your damage, so on. Magic users should use the magic cuffs or the celestial cuffs, and probably the mana cloak as well, especially if you want the automatic potion use. The mana cloak, since 1.4, is basically the better upgraded version of the mana flower with some additional, raining stars from above abilities and so on. Summoners on 1.4.1, not 1.4.0, but on 1.4.1, you can now get the Pygmy Necklace sooner. It's available sooner in the game, so summoners can get that equipped. And as always, make sure to reforge your accessories for either defensive or offensive boost, whichever you prefer. Personally, I suck at dodging, so I go for the defense. Anyway, moving along again, weapons is going to be the next little thing we're going to talk about here. So weapons for ranged or mixed players, the Daedalus Stormbow with holy arrows can not only damage Queen Slime well, but can also help to take out her minions. Having your own minions can help to take out her minions as well. Alternatively, ranged players can also use a dart pistol or a dart rifle with crystal darts, or if you prefer guns, use the Onyx Blaster, maybe the Clockwork Assault Rifle, it's been nerfed a little, or definitely the Uzi, if you're lucky enough to get it, will work very well. And of course, if you've defeated the Destroyer, the Mega Shark is great. The Onyx Blaster is powerful against Queen Slime herself, but the rapid fire guns are going to be better against her slime minions, easier to hit them. Crystal bullets are going to be an excellent choice. Ichor and Cursed bullets can also work or help to support. You can mix the two if you're careful. Repeaters or special bows like the Shadow Flame or Marrow Bow can also do the job if need be. Summoners and others actually should use minions. Even if you're not a summoner, have a minion. You can use the Pirate Staff if you're lucky enough to get it. The Spider Staff is the basic go-to option. Pirate Staff's difficult to get. Spider Staff, a little bit of grind, but you can get it reasonably. If you're willing to take on the Dread Nautilus, the Blood Moon Fishing Dread Nautilus boss, the Sanguine Staff is a good option as well. If you have defeated a mechanical boss, the Durandal Whip will give you the greatest boost to your minions around this point in the game. Alternatively, in 1.4.1, the Spinal Tap Whip was added as late pre-hard mode, but it's still viable at this point in the game for its tag damage. It will boost your minions more than some of the hard mode whips. If you are actively whipping enemies along with your minions attacking, though, the Cool Whip or the Firecracker can also work well. Melee players can use the Shadow Flame Knife or a good yo-yo, such as the Amarok or Hellfire, or if you have defeated a mechanical boss, you can use the Yellets. Banana Rangs can also work very well if you're lucky enough to get them, or the Light Discs if you've defeated the Destroyer, then you can use those. The Ice Sickle or the Sergeant United Shield could be good options if you're lucky enough to get one of those, and the Drippler Crippler is also a good one if you're willing to take on some Blood Eels to get it. So for mages, the Golden Shower is, as always, helpful, both to lower her defense and to help clear out the slimes. The Life Drain, if you're in the Crimson World, can also kill groups of slimes. The Meteor Staff, in general, is a great weapon, but will drain your mana quickly, so you're going to need a lot of mana, or you're going to need to be able to compensate for that. The Sky Fracture, Spirit Flame, and Crystal Serpent are also all pretty reasonable options. Switching between the Crystal Serpent for Queen Slime herself and the Crystal Vial Shard for the slimes is a workable strategy. The Shadow Flame Hex Doll or the Blood Thorn could work if you happen to get your hands on one of those. Frost Staff, Poison Staff, Orange Zappinator, Cursed Flames, or Crystal Storm. You might be able to use any of those if you have some extra skill to throw around. Some will be better than others, obviously. If you've beaten the twins, use the rainbow rod. It's going to be powerful. The Nimbus rod is a helpful extra if you happen to get it. So, then there's buffs. The Slice of Cake is a new one for 1.4, very useful, and your class-specific buff stations will also provide great boosts. So for melee, use the Sharpening Station. For range, use the Ammo Box. For mages, use the Crystal Ball. And for summoners, or anyone really, use the Bewitching Table for an extra minion. So again, even if you're not a summoner, I recommend that you have a summon staff, you have a minion, and you can get a second one with the Bewitching Table. Food for the Well-Fed buff, particularly on Expert or Master, is very important. Ideally, you want the exquisitely stuffed level, the major stats boost kind of food. Potions and flasks can also help to give you an edge, especially if you're struggling. Of course, you'll want the best health potions available, greater healing potions normally at this point, and mana potions. You can get greater mana potions by this point as well if you're a magic user. Iron Skin, Regeneration, Endurance, and Life Force potions will all help you to survive the fight. Swiftness will help your mobility. For magic users, you're going to want the Mana Regeneration and Magic Power, definitely. Rage or Wrath for general damage boosts. Those potions are useful for boosting your damage. Heart Reach will help you to grab any hearts that might be laying around. Hunter can help to highlight the slimes. Archery potions are very important for arrow-based weapons. Ammo Reservation for any ranged player for saving bullets, arrows, and darts. If you don't care about your ammo, then I don't have to worry about it. Summoning potions are essential for summoners, but are useful again for all classes. That can give you a third minion even if you're not a summoner, and even more if you are a summoner. Calming potions are not necessary, but can reduce the spawning of unrelated enemies, so you can concentrate on the boss and her minions. Featherfall or Gravitation potions can optionally be used to help with dodging. Ale or Sake can help to increase melee damage, but they lower your defense, so that's a trade-off with those. So if you are a melee player, if you think you're pretty good at the surviving part, then you can take some Ale or Sake to basically help win the fight faster. Both melee and summoner whip users will also want a flask. Actually, summoners can only use flasks on 1.4.1. 1.4.0, it'll only be useful for melee. But flasks, probably Ichor or Cursed Flames. Summoners can now use those in 1.4.1 as well to inflict debuffs when you're whipping. So another thing to keep in mind about buffs, if you're using a lot of buffs, you may want to cancel or hide your pets, because they do actually count towards the maximum number of effects that you can have on your player at one time. You can have a maximum of 22 or 2 full rows. So those count, and so if you just hide the pets, that gives you an extra 2. If you have both a light pet and a regular pet, that's 2 extra buffs that you can have and you can use. So without further ado, let's get on to the boss fight. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to zoom out so you can see what I'm doing. I am going to get my Bewitching Table, my Crystal Ball, and my Slice of Cake. I am playing actually a magic player for once. I usually have done range, so this is a bit of a challenge, especially with the low defense. But I think I'm set up pretty well. I've got my adamantite armor. I've got all this gear, and I've reforged everything to warding. And these are the weapons I've got. That's just for if something gets up close. But Sky Fracture, Golden Shower, Meteor Staff, Shadow Flame, Doll, Bloodthorn, and I actually have the Sanguine Staff for the minions. So I am a little bit afraid because Queen Slime is actually really hard for me. I'm not very good at dodging. So we're going to apply all the buffs. I'm going to get 3 of those guys, and we're going to do this thing. And she's going to teleport in here. So yeah, there she is. I was hoping to avoid her, but she got me. So I do find Sky Fracture is good, and it's something that you can point and kill with very nicely. And there's that jump that I was talking about, and I do like to spray her with the Golden Shower every so often. And the Meteor Staff, yeah, she's going to teleport her way out of there. And this is another thing, like, I focus, especially if you're playing like a weaker class as far as armor, like a mage, just keep with the dodging. Focus on the dodging. You can kill her eventually. Because, yeah, the terrain's a little tricky in some areas, and you gotta watch out for that. I'm trying to keep her close enough that she doesn't teleport into me. Obviously, that's not working too great. Because, yeah, if she gets far enough away, she's going to teleport, and that's going to hurt. Because she will probably teleport right into you. Yeah, like that. And there we go, though. We've got her halfway. And you can see what I was talking about there as well. She will try to stomp on your head. Again, this is where I get stuck between a couple of hills, and got to watch out for that. Does fly pretty fast. I'm gonna take refuge under here. Yeah, and she makes a point to get ahead of you. Ouch. Alright, so I've decided to swap in the Terra Spark boots just because they are that little bit extra faster. And we're just gonna see how it goes on the next try here. Even with all of this stuff, I do find it pretty hard to fight this battle because there's a lot of dodging. This running across the ground thing I do think works better than most of the strategies, but yeah, the whole stomping on your head and firing projectiles, if you're not good at dodging, like I'm not good at dodging, it's quite tough. The other thing is that I may try out using a mount. I have actually the goat mount from hell, from defeating the wall of flesh. So that might be an option as well if I get that far. It's especially that second phase where she moves particularly quickly. The other advantage of the Terra Spark boots is that you can walk on top of the water, which is nice. Yeah, the Shadow Flame Hextall is actually pretty good. But you do have to stay reasonably close for that. So yeah, this is the big thing, just trying to stay ahead of her. It's really tough, so I'm gonna do this, and she won't hopefully try to stomp me if I can move fast enough, which I can't on that terrain. Oh god. Oh, done for again. So close, so close. All right, here we go for attempt number 3. You can see how my bats are actually taking out her flying minion there quite well, so hence the recommendation to have those, because the her slime minions can be a big problem. Oh. Okay, so this time around I actually ended up flattening some of the terrain out a little farther, just so that when I get to that point, it will give me a little more to run with, so to speak. So let's do this once more. Again, I do find the Meteor Staff most effective, although it does cause me to run out of mana eventually. One thing about dying a few times is that I've left a few mana stars along the way in my path, so at least there's that. Yeah, I'm most concerned with the terrain once it gets into that flying phase, and even arguably a little bit into that flying phase. This stage I can manage reasonably well. I actually opted not to use my mana cloak, just because decreasing my damage, and I needed more stuff to encourage my survivability, so I went that direction more so instead. Yeah, see, getting stuck between the hills, that's always something I'm afraid of. Don't really want her killing my villagers, although it's almost the least of my worries right now. But that is also a problem that, you know, eventually I do run out of mana. I guess I could use potions. I am getting near the end of the part that I smoothed out. Maybe what I'll do is just reverse directions. Didn't smooth it the other way, though. Oh, I did it! I just did it. Oh, God. That is so hard on Master Mode. For someone who can't dodge like me, that is quite difficult. But there you go. We managed it, and that is my approach anyway. So, we're going to look at the drops. Let's see what I got. First of all, treasure bag. There's the volatile gelatin. I'm just going to beam back to my main base, and I'll zoom back in here so you can have a look at some of this stuff. So, volatile gelatin. What this does, essentially, is it will just fire out, if there's an enemy nearby, it will fire out volatile gelatin projectile. So, volatile gelatin, that's not an enemy. Whoops. Here we go. This is what the volatile gelatin will do. It will just fire these projectiles. It's very useful if you're in the dungeon or another enclosed area. Maybe you're underground. It'll just fire these projectiles. You don't have to do anything. Good if you're fishing as well. It'll help to take care of those enemies. It is reasonably powerful. That's an expert mode only drop. I just want to demonstrate some of these ones. Also, oh, I got the blade staff. Excellent. So, blade staff gives you these blade minions, and they are going to attack things. Yeah, see what they do to a derpling. You can see those quick slashes. They're going to be more useful for a summoner because a summoner can boost their damage. And also, you can use things like even a shark tooth necklace. You want to cut into the enemy's defense so that the blades can do their job. And there's the gelatinous pillion. So that is actually kind of the first real flying mount, is it? First real one? Anyway, it's a flying mount. It can only fly a certain short amount of time. So that's cool. And yeah, the crystal armor. That's an interesting set, actually. And sparkle slime balloon. Throw these. They're just cosmetic. Oh. Okay, yeah, I got the Queen Slime mask, so I can walk around with that on. Which looks quite amusing. And of course I got the Queen Slime relic. So, let's just take a proper look at the drops. So here's the drops. And essentially, she's always going to drop 25 to 75 of those sparkle slime balloons, which you can throw at people and this little party vanity sort of thing. She will drop 5 to 15 greater healing potions. There's a 1 in 10 chance that she'll drop the Queen Slime trophy, and a 1 in 7 chance for the Queen Slime mask, so I was lucky enough to get that one. In normal mode, she will also always drop 1 of the 3 pieces of the Crystal Assassin armor set, which is kind of interesting new set with 1.4. There's also a 1 in 4 chance that she'll drop the blade staff and or the gelatinous pillion, so I was quite lucky to get those, although my odds are a little better. I'll get to that. Also a separate 1 in 3 chance that she will drop the Hook of Dissonance, which I don't appear to have gotten. On expert and master difficulties, she will always drop a treasure bag with the volatile gelatin item that I showed you there. She will also always drop 2 of the 3 pieces of the Crystal Assassin armor set instead of just 1 on expert and master in that treasure bag, and she will drop other items with a greater chance as well. It becomes a 50% chance that she'll drop the mount or the hook, and a 1 in 3 chance that she'll drop the blade staff. Still, kind of beat the odds there. In master mode only, she will drop the Queen Slime relic, and there's also a 1 in 4 chance that she'll drop the Regal Delicacy, which summons the Slime Princess pet. The mount item I showed you there summons the winged slime mount, which is similar to the pre-hard mode slime mount, but can fly for a short period of time. It eliminates fall damage completely. It's faster, as you probably saw there, than the original slime mount, and has some other minor upgrades over that original slime mount as well. The hook, the Hook of Dissonance, has a rapid teleport on latch, although it will not beam you through walls, but basically it just beams you when you latch. Instead of pulling you there, it teleports you there, but only if you'd be able to fit anyway. Blade Staff, as I showed you, summons rapidly slashing flying blade minion, best used with summoner gear. Volatile Gelatin fires those bouncing purple projectiles, good if you're fishing, enclosed spaces, and so on. And they, as you saw, kind of do inflict a reasonable amount of damage and do a lot of knockback, actually, which is good for keeping vicious enemies like this terrifying blue slime away. So it can be useful for those kinds of situations. So I'm just going to, since I got it, I'll throw my Queen Slime relic up here with the rest. And I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.